I married a film critic. So I married a film critic.
Welcome to So I Married a Film Critic. I'm your co-host Julia.
And I'm Barry the Film Critic. Hello, everyone.
So we decided to do a movie that you're going to be writing about because it's 30 years old this year. The Bodyguard from 1992.
Yes, and let me remind all of you that this is the true credo of The Bodyguard, as told to us on the tagline of the movie poster. So if you want to be a bodyguard, you never let her out of your sight, you never let your guard down, and you never fall in love.
Oh, right.
Played by Kevin Costner at the height of his powers. Oh my gosh, like, just as a reminder, I mean, Costner's been a famous movie star for a while. You ask anybody like what they know him from, I'm sure everyone will have different things. I'm right from the beginning, with Bull Durham and The Untouchables, but
Dances with Wolves.
well, here's the thing. So 89 is Field of Dreams, which is this big surprise hit, becomes one of the most beloved baseball movies of all time. He follows it up with Dances with Wolves, the first film he ever directed. He stars in it. It's a 3-hour Western. Everybody said this is the most ridiculous thing. It's going to be the biggest mistake, the most biggest embarrassing flop. Wins Best Picture, huge hit, brings back the Western. Suddenly Kevin's at the top of his powers. What does he follow it up with? The ridiculous and ridiculously entertaining Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, where even his awful haircut and even worse accent can't sink that movie. And then he follows that up with JFK, one of the best films of the 90s and one of the most controversial. And then this thing, which is this huge hit.
He did all those movies in 3 years?
Back to back, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, until a certain movie that I really enjoy, involving a world of water. Until that point.
Oh, I love that movie.
Me too.
We should do that.
I'd love to. Until that point, like, he was untouchable. And it's funny because that movie really wasn't a bomb. Everybody makes it out to be, but it wasn't. It didn't make as much money as it needed to. But in any case, like, that's when the sheen started to.
Well, and now he's back. He's
big
back
time.
with Yellowstone.
Oh, big time. He's
so,
yeah. There's a whole generation that grew up with him. This whole
Never
generation
feel bad for these guys.
Oh, I like Costner a lot. I've always liked him.
Even when they have like slumps of like years and years, they always make comebacks.
Yeah. And well, he never stopped working. That's the thing. And his body work is actually really interesting. But yeah, this is an interesting time because at this point, I mean, he was one of the biggest movie stars ever, and it was his. I mean, he gets all the credit for it, and he deserves all the credit for it. He's credited as the guy who said, I want Whitney Houston to be my co-star in this movie, which some people are like, can she act? And, of course, the response to that is, who cares? And the thing is, she can, and that's the thing. I've always found this movie very defensible because, for one thing, I like the two of them in this movie so much. But as we'll discuss, this movie isn't quite how we remember it. You and I watched some music videos before doing this to kind of remind ourselves, put us in the mindset of what it was like when this thing was out. And I gotta say, like, my memories of the movie prior to revisiting it with you are kind of hazy. But when I think of this movie, I think of the music video and I think of all the videos attached to it, which is very different from what the film has to offer.
So did you see it when it came out?
That's a funny story. I didn't see it in the theater. I didn't want to. What I wound up doing was months after it was in the theater, I was with my father. Hopefully this is an entertaining story. I was with my father at this dinky New Jersey motel, and it was one of these motels that had SpectraVision. And we're like, hey, The Bodyguard, which we hadn't seen at that point. So it turns out that if you squeeze the cord, you could actually get the movies for free in your room. So this is the level of parenting. So my father allowed me to sit next to the TV, squeeze this cord, and we had like 90% perfect visibility on The Bodyguard. And we enjoyed it so much that I sat next to that TV for 2 hours pinching a cord so we could watch Bodyguard for free on SpectraVision. And we thoroughly enjoyed it.
That sounds like child abuse.
You put it that way, it probably was, but we really liked it. This is a movie I revisited a lot, although, I mean, more than anything, the CD was constantly being spun in my CD player.
Oh, I mean, I had the soundtrack before I ever saw this movie. I don't think I saw this movie until we were married.
I think it's probably the case where more people have heard the soundtrack than they've actually ever seen the movie. I mean, this is the biggest soundtrack of all time. Top grossing soundtrack of all time.
Wow.
Topping Star Wars. I don't think Titanic even came close, although Titanic was also one of the biggest. But yeah, this is it. This is the top of the mountain. This is Whitney Houston's biggest seller, and this is the top grossing soundtrack of all time. and one of the biggest hits of its year, the number 2 biggest hit, right behind Aladdin. This thing was huge. It came out in Thanksgiving of 1992, played well into the following year. It really never went away. It was an enormous hit. And in discussing it, I think it's a great question of like, why was this movie so appealing? Because, it's the Bodyguard.
Let's get into it. So we open with Kevin Costner, who plays Frank Farmer, a former Secret Service agent. And he's in a parking garage and he ends up shooting somebody. And we find out he's working for just some guy. And this guy is like, how did you know that there was a killer in there? And he's like, he was washing the car. You're not allowed to wash cars on that level, like he's got these spidey senses. He just like knows what's going on more than anybody else. And so this guy, thanks him for saving his life, offers him a full-time job, like a permanent position. And he says he needs to move on. He doesn't want a permanent position. So then now he's a free agent. And that's where he doesn't like to be tied down. And so then we cut to Rachel and...
Mitchell Marin?
Yes.
Mitchell Marin, played by the wonderful Whitney Houston. Yep.
And I don't know, there's an explosion of some kind. Her life's in danger.
It's not very well edited. It goes by so quickly. It's almost, it's almost symbolic how quickly it goes by. Like you're not even sure what it is you're looking at.
What's happening?
They explain it later. But yeah, I gotta say, like, not for one thing, a lot of criticism you'll hear lobbed at this movie. Even though, by the way, I like this movie a lot, but not a good action movie. No. At all. The action sequences are not good. There's a lot of running and chasing sequences. They're not really well staged or paced. They're shot well enough, but the movie, the action should be a lot better than what we have here.
Exactly. So we have one of Rachel's, now I don't know, he's like in her entourage. I don't know if it's like a dad or an uncle or
yes,
something.
And he's played by the wonderful Bill Cobbs. I love this actor. Wonderful voice, veteran character actor. I always think of him from the Hudsucker Proxy, but he's done so many movies. He's really good. I like him in this.
So somehow he knows about Frank, and he's like, he offers him the job. He offers him $2,000 a week to protect Rachel, but Frank doesn't want to protect a celebrity. He's used to protecting presidents.
Now, what kind of celebrity is she?
She's a singer.
And an actress.
Which
is one of my biggest beefs with this movie.
Wait, she's also an actress in the movie?
She's an Oscar-nominated actress.
Oh, I missed that part.
Did you remember the ending at the Oscars? She's up for a movie called Queen of the Night.
Oh, I thought that was the song.
No, she's up for an Oscar. She's an actress. They never show any clips of these movies. Look, the script was written in the 70s by Lawrence Kasdan. Kasdan, of course, went on to write Dallas. What else? The Big Chill, Grand Canyon. He's a screenwriter for Raiders of the Lost Ark, Empire Strikes Back. Amazing guy, amazing talent. He wrote this script a long time ago for Steve McQueen and Diana Ross. Clearly, that's who this movie was meant for. And interestingly enough, that's exactly who Kevin Costner is playing. He's got the bad Steve McQueen hair. He's got the haircut, and he's even playing him the way Steve McQueen would, which is why this performance is so interesting. One of the things about Costner I've always liked, and I think it's one of the most underrated aspects about his ability as an actor, he always leans into the unfavorable things about the characters he plays. He doesn't really like the whole reputation of him being the all-American Gary Cooper. When he has a chance to play a jerk or lean into a character's unsympathetic qualities, he really shines because it's always surprising. And in this movie, like, this character is not really that endearing. It's the same thing with his character, the Mariner in Waterworld. Like he always, I mean, come on, this is one of the biggest movie stars ever, one of the biggest movies ever, and opens up with him drinking his own urine. Like, this is, and he was a producer of that film.
Okay, that was Waterworld, not
that was
Bodyguard.
Waterworld. No, the Bodyguard. I mean, the Bodyguard opens up with him murdering somebody.
Right.
I mean, this is a tough character, and the movie is about him. It's told from his point of view, but because of that, the film is dour, and he's dour in it. And I gotta say, I really dig that because it's not a vanity project at all. Certainly not the way he's playing it.
Mm-mm. Okay, so Frank kind of comes back and says, "I'm not going to do it for $2,000 a week. I'll do it for $3,000 a week." So that's $156,000 a year. That would be about $300,000 a year in today's money. And you know, I looked up what bodyguards make right now, and they make anywhere from $42,000 to $145,000 a year. So Frank is making bank back in 1992.
Oh, big time.
He's like rolling, and you know, they show like one kind of scene of one room of his house, and what's this guy doing with his money? Where is it going?
Well, he's got nobody.
I know. What is he just saving it all for a rainy day to retire?
He's got a samurai code of ethics. He is a nomadic warrior. He has those principles. He has the discipline to leave everything at the drop of the hat. He's like De Niro in Heat. He's cool.
He's cool.
Yeah, he is. And we even know, and by the way, like watching this, I thought, yeah, I bet he's thinking about Toshiro Mifune. Well, sure enough, later on in the movie, he actually takes...
Okay, don't skip
all right,
that.
all right. But we'll jump to that. Fine. Okay.
So Frank goes to meet Rachel, and, you know, he's turned off by the whole scene. There's a music video filming. There's dancers. There's publicists. It's a total zoo. He actually kind of gets into the house by giving a different name and has no trouble getting in. And so they show him some death threats. So someone like broke into her house, just masturbated on her bed.
They used the word.
Yeah, they did.
Like, oh,
and left
gross.
a note. I mean, it's like, that's pretty dark for this movie, I felt.
Right off the bat.
Yeah,
like, man, this
wow.
movie is not going to be fun. And it's not.
So Frank's just like, oh, but nobody has told Rachel this nonsense is happening. And he's like, I can't protect somebody who doesn't know she's in danger. Which I thought, all right. I mean, that's...
But at the same time, it's like, gross. Do they... Has someone been in this bed?
Wait, put that blue light away.
There should be like a mitt on my pillow, but is this like a wrapper?
I mean, he basically leaves just like, I can't.
He's disgusted.
I'm not going to do this.
He got into the house by using a multitude of made-up names. He was able to just walk in there. Everyone is just absorbed in the glamour and the glitz of it. And Rachel is oblivious to the danger that she's
in.
in.
Like, I'm safe in my own house. Like, okay, lady.
But they're also treating her like a child. They're also keeping her from knowing the full truth of it. And man, did that aspect of this movie really hit me. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about this, obviously, as we continue to discuss the film. But, you know, Houston did a series of movies. This is my favorite of her performances because of how much the film is about a brilliant talent who's being exploited by the system. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to, you know, I don't want to get too much into Houston's life and the tragedy of that became her life. But there's something very poignant about this movie's portraying how she's around these leeches that are just sucking her dry. She's in a system that wants to exploit her, not really utilize who she is or celebrate her individuality. It's about, extracting all of the monetary gain from her. That really hit me hard watching it because, for all the things about this movie that are very flashy and very 90s, like, no, I wonder how much of this really hit Houston, especially at this point in her career. Being like, oh yeah, like I understand what this character's going through.
She's only 29 in real life.
Yeah.
So who knows? Okay. So after the whole you have a stalker thing, we see kind of the stalker, cutting out pieces of paper, making notes, like watching music videos of her. It's just super creepy. We see Frank. Now Frank is back. He's reinforcing the security at the house. So obviously he's taken this job, but he's going to do it his way.
He's laying down the law.
Yeah, he's laying down the law. So what a funny scene. He teaches the limo driver like how to make a 180 in a limo, just kind of like, hey, if we need to get away, you got to know this stuff. He sends the note to be analyzed by like his Secret Service connections. One
of the many deadweight scenes of this movie in which it's just scenes of Kevin Costner talking to his old Secret Service buddies. And the scene always ends with them reminding him how much money he's making. One of these scenes would have been fine. This movie has way too many of these scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can we talk about Cy?
Cy?
Yeah, the British guy who's in the Entourage. Whitney Houston's Entourage.
Oh, sure, yeah. Is that her publicist?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the publicist. Yeah, can we talk about this guy?
Sure.
First of all, it's Gary Kemp, who I love. He deserved to have a film career. Do you know who Gary Kemp is?
No.
He was one of think back to that movie, Music and Lyrics, Pop Goes My Heart.
Yeah.
Now, he's not in that, but he was in one of the biggest 80s bands, synthesizer bands. Do you know which band? Spandau Ballet. I know this much is true.
I love that song.
That's Gary Kemp.
That's him singing that?
Well, it's him and his brother Martin Kemp and 3 other guys.
Wow.
But he's in the video. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the biggest acts of the 80s. So it's wonderful that he's in this and that he's playing this jerk of a guy in the music industry. I love it. And he's so good in this.
That's so funny. Well, we get a series of scenes where Frank spots a car following Rachel's limo. He goes after it.
Boy, I mean, on foot. On freaking foot. Yes, like the Terminator. It's amazing.
And then...
and he still can't catch it.
He doesn't. But, and there's all this work going on, and Rachel's just, like, annoyed, like, I can't even relax in my own palatial house. There's all this workman happening. So then a funny scene is like late at night.
Oh, this scene.
Okay, so
oh man,
Frank is watching her video run to you, and it's her looking very good, by the way. But she's just like it's like on a huge screen, a huge TV.
Jumbo screen, and he's watching it alone, and it's in front of a window, so she's able to watch him watching her.
Yeah,
and. The money shot, listeners, if you haven't seen this movie in a couple decades, is, oh man, like Costner is just like, the look on his face, as I told you, like, it's like the first music video he's ever seen in his life. This is the most magical moment of his life. Like
he's sitting on the chair and then he's just like slowly leaning forward, like,
it's great. Oh man.
And then she's watching him like, oh, he's watching me.
It's like, what was Costner really watching? Like, they're like, guys, just put on Dances with Wolves. I'll be like, oh yeah, look at that. That's what got the Oscar. Yeah, wow, look at that.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is he studying her for work? Like, what's happening here?
I mean, he is so clearly like just stunned to see him. I mean, this guy clearly has never seen a music video before. I do wonder if the next morning breakfast is like, and then this video of Michael Jackson. Have you ever heard of him? He's like walking on the street and the street's like glowing. And then Madonna. I mean, have you guys ever seen a music video? They're amazing.
So yeah, that kind of doesn't really go anywhere except
he's clearly smitten with her, and that's how the movie is portraying it, and she catches him watching her. I mean, the movie is a lot about voyeurism and stalking and the way people perceive each other, how we look at someone with a longing gaze versus an unhealthy fixated obsessive gaze. So there's that contrast of there's somebody watching her in a really unhealthy and sick way versus the way they're looking at each other. It's flirtatious, it's enticing. They're both aware of their attraction to each other.
Okay, so now she's on her way to the Mayan. She's going to a club to perform.
This scene doesn't make any sense to me at all. Not a lick of freaking sense.
I know.
Why is
someone of her caliber
thank you
doing this
at this club?
This club is insane.
Let me remind you again, folks, I know the movie doesn't make a big enough deal about it, but she's an Oscar nominated actress and a huge pop star. What is she doing at this crappy club in her goofy robo costume? By the way, it's the Maria the Robot costume from Metropolis. They even show clips of it in the background. So I mean, I don't know why she would dress up like, but yeah, she does the Queen of the Night number for like this crap. I mean, it looks like the club from Basic Instinct. It's so crummy looking.
Yeah. And right before that, she gets another creepy note from this stalker, and they're just going to cancel. And she's like, oh, my fans are going to be so disappointed. I'm like, okay, so like the couple hundred people that are here smashed together, like, who cares? This is not.
It's so strange. Yeah, if they establish that she's an up and comer, okay, maybe. But I mean, this is somebody who's like the equivalent of Whitney Houston. It's right? Like, what are you doing? Like they can't. Even if this is like one of those pay or play gigs, like they can't be paying her enough to be performing at this crap club, especially with the Oscars are like what in a week.
Yeah,
it's
exactly,
crazy.
Exactly. So she's up on stage, really giving it, and the crowd's getting a little bit crazy. So eventually too many people are up on stage with her, and she gets crowd surfed.
But those jerks, they get seriously Costnered, man. Costner just
he grabs a
tosses them.
No, he grabs a fire extinguisher, like one of those big ones, and he's just going in there, just
like they're Kleenex.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And that's the famous scene where he like picks her up and carries her out.
By the way, that's the poster art too. Like, what a lame. We'll talk about this more, but like, what a lame poster. Like, it's you can barely see his face. You don't see her face at all. It's just him carrying her. I've always thought it was such a weird way to promote this movie, but you know what? It's an iconic movie poster now. So what do I know?
Yeah, well, that's okay. So he takes her home. Like, the limo guy is parked somewhere else, and the three of them just take off and go home, leaving all the
it's great.
leaving the rest of the entourage. Like, no.
She has this bodyguard who's clearly been around too long. He's played by a wonderful character actor, Mike Starr. Gary Camp's like, "Where are you going? Don't leave us at the club." So it's great. They're all pissed at Costner, but Costner clearly has saved the day. I mean, what he did to get her out of there is really remarkable, and it's cool. Like, the movie is really finding its groove at this point. The love story is kicking in. We established that this is the Mr. Miyagi of bodyguards.
Okay, but he tucks her in bed.
We'll notice that she doesn't put up a fight. Clearly, it's
she
more
has
than
her full face of makeup on. Still, she's like, is she still wearing her crazy?
Do you really
outfit?
want the reality of her like having cold cream all over her face?
What? Yes.
She has like this huge mask on. Like, I'm ready for bed.
What is she, 90? No, she needs to like.
Yeah, notice I said cold cream. I don't know what Whitney Houston would wear. Obviously.
Okay, but what did you think about the next scene where he just has an obsession with orange juice, first of all, and then the other bodyguard comes in. It's a weird
character trait, but that scene I love. Yes,
yeah.
Mike Starr,
he comes
again, wonderful character actor, scene stealer, extraordinary, comes in, and yeah, he has this great fight with Costner where there's almost no dialogue. It's just they're just beating the crap out of each other in a kitchen. It's great. I love this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not like this bit of like you don't know her, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like they're just sizing each other up and
man to man, just going for it.
Yeah, and Costner is like a ninja. So I mean, he's he has the it's a movie, folks. Mike Starr could like crush Kevin Costner, but Costner just like he's always one move ahead of him. It's great.
So then Rachel asks Frank out on a date because she's like, I can't go anywhere without you, so why don't we just go out together?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah,
Sneaky.
yeah. No, it's cool. There's a real flirtatious thing going on between the two of them, and I think we should talk about Houston in this movie. I mean, look, people have said, "Oh, she's just playing herself." You know what? She's great in this movie. I think she's excellent in this movie. In fact, she is so fiery and compelling. There's one scene, we'll talk about it when we get there. There's one scene I think that doesn't work, but beyond that, this is a great performance. The fact that she is really aggressive and confident as an actress, and Costner is really reining it in. I think it's a really good mix.
Mm-hmm.
I think the chemistry really works because it's not like two of the same performances, two very different performances. And if anything, he's just allowing her energy to just dominate all of their scenes together, and it totally works.
And this is where they see that Mifune movie. Yes,
they go see Yojimbo. Strange pick for a date. It says a lot about his character. But, she apparently digs the movie too. And then, as you pointed out, this does not make any sense at all. It's established that she has a stalker, that she's world famous. They're just out in the open, no disguise, no hat,
They just
no
walk
sunglasses.
down the street. Nobody recognizes her. Nobody says anything.
I wonder,
Nobody asks for a picture.
I mean, look, movies are famously shot out of sequence. Do they shoot this and they're just like, oh, yeah, we forgot this. This kind of comes kind of early. This wouldn't make any sense. I mean, she just made headlines for being pulled out of this club where she was assaulted on stage by these crazy fans. It doesn't make any sense that suddenly, he takes her to what, like an Applebee's, like wherever the heck they go?
Well, they just go to like some dive bar that nobody knows. And again, nobody recognizes her there. And he says that he would die for her because it's his job.
Yeah.
Your kind of place?
Yeah,
Your kind of music?
absolutely.
You figure no one can get by you here, huh?
If someone's willing to swap his life for a kill, nothing can stop them, Rachel.
Well, great. What do I need you for?
You might get me instead.
And you're ready to die for me?
It's the job.
And you do it? Why?
I can't sing.
Well, maybe there's some glory in saving a president or somebody, but just anybody?
You mean like you?
Yeah, like me.
It's a matter of conditioning and discipline.
I don't trust discipline. I know at that crucial moment I'd cop out.
It happens.
But not to you, fierce Frank, huh?
It happens.
But no, you can tell he's serious.
Oh yeah. No, I mean it's that's the interesting thing about the character. There's the code that he has, which is very much a samurai warrior code. But then there's also the sense of like he's inching towards this attraction, which he knows is, in contrast to his methods. He can't give his all to her, because if he does, it's going to compromise his ability to protect her.
Yeah, well, here we go, because he does. So they dance to "I Will Always Love You."
Boy, do I want to talk about this moment, because like this is
it's not even the Dolly Parton version. It's like some dude.
Well, here's the thing. Notice that this version of the song is not on the soundtrack. I wonder if that just burns these guys. Like right now, there's some dive bar somewhere, like in the darkest, deepest part of Texas. Like, hey, this is I'm Curly Joe, and these are the Bayonets, and you may remember us from the Bodyguard. We're not on the soundtrack. That's right. There's a little Joe on backup, and we got little Billy on the jug, and yeah, they didn't let us on that soundtrack, and it's no big deal. We didn't need it, because hey, we're here for you tonight, and you may recognize us as a couple of bona fide movie stars.
Oh my God.
We're gonna play our version of "I Will Always Love You," the only good version, which is not on the soundtrack to The Bodyguard. Okay. And I'll bet outside on the marquee it's like Curly Joe and the Bayonets featured in The Bodyguard.
Oh, it's funny. But
it's like the only song on the soundtrack that is not on the CD soundtrack.
Really makes you upset, doesn't it?
It doesn't make me upset, but you know who I bet is upset? Curly Joe and the Bayonets.
Okay, so after that, this is where Frank takes Rachel to his house. And they're in, I don't know, some kind of basement family room or something where there's no furniture.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if anything, if the twist turns out to be at this point that Frank is the one who's stalking her, it would totally make sense, right? Because that's what it looks like.
Oh, that's funny. So then she takes off his sword off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of...
It's a samurai sword, and she's playing around with it. And yeah.
And he like takes the scarf off her neck and throws it up in the air, and then it falls on the sword and just like rips in half. It's actually really cool.
I love this moment. But by the way, what crap, because let's face it was probably like, what, a $60,000 Pierre Cardin scarf? Wouldn't she just like attack him at that point with this sword?
No, she's just like... Okay.
That's coming out of your paycheck.
Yeah.
Jerk.
You're making enough money. So then they have sex, which we don't really get to see.
It's 1992. I gotta say, like, the movie is better than most films that have interracial relationships. It's 1992. I mean, this is the era where Denzel Washington and Julia Roberts did a movie where they kissed together, and apparently they cut out the kiss because some dumbass audience was going, ew. Like, this is that era, which I hate. So I think as much as this film is very chaste, pardon my language, there's actually, I like the way they portray this, because, at this time it was very unusual. And, the movie was never going to be sexually explicit because it's Costner. But yeah, I don't know. I like it. I don't think. I think to imply it is better than to be graphic about it.
Well, yeah, because they wake up together the next morning in his bed, so
yeah.
It's obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the dialogue is strong enough to.
Yeah. So
yeah.
he gets up, he's getting dressed, and she's kind of like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I can't protect you like this, and you can live with it or fire me." And she's like, but I can't F you. I think it's the
Oh,
only
yeah.
F-bomb in the movie, right?
It's a good one, though.
It's
She
good.
hits that F-bomb.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's like, oh man, you know what, Rachel? You kind of got a point there.
No, it's an excellent point. But it sucks. I mean, she's waking up to him, like putting all his clothes on. He's about to do like the walk of shame. It's like,
At his house?
That's awful. Poor thing.
Yeah, but it's just funny, like, I can't protect you like this. So he just really, he's freaking out.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next scene is this charity event. I don't know, in Florida or something. And
Oh, yeah.
this is where, so, you know, she's still salty from that incident, which, you know, that's fine. And he's just being his regular, like, kind of Mr. Krabby self. And this is where we meet his bodyguard friend.
Yes.
And I guess what? They were in the Secret Service together?
Yeah.
And this guy is real slimy.
Yes.
And Rachel's flirting with him just to get back at Frank. It's kind of obvious. But they go into her bedroom and, you know, you think something's going to go down. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do this with you. I mean, he almost rapes her.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's an attempted rape. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, she gets out of it and gets him out of her room. But I'm just like, there's something really gross about him.
Yeah, this is Thomas Arana, who's a character actor. I always remember him from The Hunt for October. He's the saboteur who tries to assassinate Sean Connery, and there's this amazing gunfight in the third act of the film between him and Alec Baldwin. But yeah, he's the slimy saboteur who actually tries to blow up the sub at the end of the movie. He, good actor. He's got one of those faces where he'll never play the good guy, but he'll always play roles like this.
Yeah. Well, and you don't really know if he's good or bad at this point.
But you don't like him because,
Yeah.
for one thing, he has an interesting superficial resemblance to Costner. So it's clearly like he is of that ilk. And a really nice moment is that when Rachel meets the two of them together, she says, like another samurai, another warrior.
Oh, right.
So she recognizes that quality in him. But yeah, she is flirtatious with him in order to irritate Frank, and it goes sour. And then she immediately kicks him out of the party. But yeah, no, the character is slimy. And we see that, unlike Frank, who is all code, who is all control, this guy does not have that kind of discipline.
Right. So the next day after that incident is like another dumb scene where your analyzed letter is almost back, okay. And Frank is like, I'm going to go check the route. And he like beats up some innocent guy that he's just thinks could be a threat. But
This
he's
is
really
the dude
not.
inside the restaurant?
Yeah, in the kitchen. And his wife's like, don't beat up my husband. It's like so sad. So Frank seems like he's losing a little bit of his control because of his feelings.
And again, folks, like this is the star of the film, one of the biggest movie stars at this point. He's the executive producer of the film. He clearly was one of the big, most powerful people in this movie, making this film, rather. And here is yet another scene in which his character is just kind of awful.
Yeah.
And I dig it. I really do, because any other, like if this was Stallone, this scene would not be in the movie. Like seriously, anybody who was during this time who was vain.
How would Stallone play the bodyguard?
You'd be like, yo, I don't want you smoking in this kitchen. Or Rachel, you give me some more orange juice and we keep dancing this Dolly Parton song. I don't know. Maybe something's going to happen. I don't know. I got this code, but, I look in your eyes and check, please. Can we...
Oh, my gosh. I don't know if I want to see that movie now.
Stallone, Houston, The Bodyguard.
So
can you imagine all those Whitney Houston movies for this movie, and instead of Kevin Costner, it's Stallone? She's like looking at him as he's like, looking at her in slow motion. I can't see it.
No.
There's something, I don't know, like Costner is like, he's tough in this movie, and it's believable, and it's, you know, he doesn't look like buff or anything.
It seems like he's got like a very deep inner life that you just don't really get to know.
Yeah, and I think it works because, I mean, I'll just say he is sexy in this movie. He is like a really strong presence in this film.
I don't know if he's that
You don't think
sexy.
so?
I mean...
Compared to Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, with that huge mullet and that terrible accent, he's attractive in this.
I've never really looked at Kevin Costner and been like, ooh, yeah.
Really? Not even Field of Dreams?
No.
Bull Durham? Huh?
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, man.
But no, I mean, it's like he's not unattractive.
Waterworld?
Well, okay. Maybe you got me there. But I've never been like, ooh, yes, Kevin Costner is such a hottie. Like, never. I mean, he's handsome.
Can you think of an actor you would have preferred to see play Frank Farmer at this point in time?
Well, no. I can't think of anybody else that would do it as well. But I'm just saying, I like their chemistry. I like them together. But as an outsider, I'm not like, yeah, Frank. I mean, no.
Do you think this would have worked better with Steve McQueen and Diana Ross?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah. I can't really picture that.
Because, I mean, Ross really is this character. Ross was an acclaimed actress and one of the biggest, you know, recording artists of her time. It really would have been like typecasting, really. I think it's more interesting with Houston doing it. It's debatable as to who was, you know, the more popular, more accomplished singer, although I'd say Houston.
Oh, I mean, she's called the voice, of course.
Yeah. But, you know, no disrespect to Diana Ross. I mean, you know, with the Supremes, I mean, she had a long and extremely spectacular singing career as well. Just very different, obviously, a different time. But the thing is, like, the script to this movie, as flashy and 90s as it is, like, the script is very 70s. The tone of it is very 70s. It wants to be a really serious character drama. It really does. And the movie's kind of fighting against it. But the movie, like, ultimately, I think the tone of it really is sustained from the screenplay. Like, it's not a fun movie, and it resists every opportunity to, like, really make itself more accessible for the audience. And we haven't even started talking about the sister.
Oh no,
even
we're getting there.
Yeah, but we got to talk about that sister.
Oh, okay, we should probably just say that there is a scene early on where Frank goes into the sister's like studio part of the house, of Rachel's house, and you know, he learns that she actually started singing first because she's a little bit older and started a band. And then once Rachel came on the scene, she kind of took over. So she's like, oh, she's the favorite. She's the best. I'm never going to be as good as her, you know. So there's, you know, some sibling rivalry on her end, on Nikki's end.
The character is really haunted. And it's interesting because the actress is lovely and she does a good job with it. But I mean, there is this just gloomy sadness to this character who's basically just watching her sister's life from the sidelines.
Yeah,
and,
like she doesn't really have anything going for herself.
Yeah, she could barely contain her bitterness, even though she's obviously she's along for the ride. It's you know, most movies would not have a character like this, even considering how they use the character in the third act. But still, it's like, oh man, this is dour. This is really downbeat, and it really does. You know, on the one, you really sympathize with this character because, of course, it sucks to be Whitney Houston's little sister who didn't make it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's a lot of siblings of really famous people. I mean, look at Beyonce and her sisters. You know, it's like, okay, well, they had talent, but just not as much or not as much popularity. So, okay.
Yes.
But let's go back to, it's the next day from the charity event. Frank's checked his route. He's beat up a random guy. He's losing control. Rachel gets a call from the creep and she tells Frank, like, I'll do whatever you want. Like, finally, she's going to, like, do it Frank's way.
I love this creep because, man alive, I mean, this is a panty-sniffing, freaky, deaky freak. This guy has a locker. Where?
Okay, yeah,
Where is this locker? In a train station or a high school?
Yeah,
Where's this
exactly.
locker?
That's what I was wondering. Like a gym? Like where? Is he at the Y?
It's crazy. Yeah, he's got this locker with all of her stuff. He's like sniffing her gloves. He's got her pictures. It's just a locker.
He looks like he's some kind of albino. Like they really take his look a little like real creep.
Yeah, clearly they were like, we could cast a normal good-looking guy. Oh, this guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little... it's a little much. And I love his phone call to her where he's like, no, no, no. That's like his line in this movie.
I don't even remember that part.
You don't remember that? Because remember she's like, oh, hi, is it you, Si? Si, is it you? He's like, no, no, no.
Oh my gosh. So, but Frank's idea is to send everyone, he's like, everyone needs to go on a vacation. So it's just Rachel, oh yeah, her son, who haven't talked about, the limo driver, and the sister, and Frank go to Frank's dad's house.
Before we get to that, the scene where he tells her that he's going to make her do, basically, like, we got to do things my way because of this stalker, how creepy it is. He's on a balcony. He's talking to Houston. This is the only scene in the movie I think they should have given her another take here. I don't like how it flips. It's cool that he knows everything and he's one step ahead of everything, and and that whole dynamic works. But like, the character isn't condescending. I don't like it here where he is suddenly the strong one and she is the one who's like, okay, I'll do whatever you want. Like, I don't like that.
Well, but she's scared.
She's scared, but at the same time, Whitney, I think, needed another take here. This is the only scene in the movie I'm like, she's not really
giving it.
They're not gelling in this. It's the only part of the movie. It really jumps out at me. It's like, she's on fire the whole movie. I know her character is stressed out and scared, but like, I'm just not feeling it. It feels like it feels like they should have done a few more takes. So.
All right. Oh, okay. So now we're in some snowy wilderness cabin where Frank's dad lives.
Yes.
I mean, is this the most random place ever?
And for a Oscar-nominated actress and and huge worldwide famous pop star who lives in a mansion that's apparently acres and acres long, this must be the most boring place you could possibly be hiding. Like, all this folksiness and playing chess and just sitting around a fire drinking chamomile.
And the dad cooking for them.
This has got to be the most boring thing ever. Like, this is someone who like let's go to Spago's. And now she's like, at Camp Costner. She must be bored out of her mind.
Yeah, and Frank is taking her son Fletcher out on a little boat in the snow.
By the way, I'll be honest with you. I've never known if Fletcher was her son or the sister's son. It is Rachel's son?
Yeah, it's Rachel's son.
I never was clear about that. And do they establish who the father was or is? Okay.
No, we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if the movie really needs Fletcher, but okay. And and Frank has to establish, like he's
like a fatherly figure.
Exactly. Yeah, this is his surrogate family now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. They're just kind of hanging out, and then
they're playing chess.
Yeah, Rachel, is going to bed, so of course Frank has to walk her up, make sure everything's okay. And then later that night, Nikki comes on,
the sister,
to Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Frank's just like, no, and she's like, what, you don't want to have sex with both sisters? It's just like it's so weird. I think it kind of, do you feel like
it's desperate. It's meant, again, like the character is pathetic, and that's what comes across. And that's unfortunately one of the only notes this actress is a good actress. She does a good job, but she doesn't have a lot to play here. But yeah, the sadness, the desperation, the clinging for attention and acknowledgement is what she's conveying. And Frank's like, yeah, I recognize what you're doing. I want no part of that.
Yeah. And then the next day, what the sister is like singing Jesus Loves Me.
What I think I know why this scene is here. What I suspect is they did, and I don't want to talk about it too much because what we find out about the character just a few minutes later, but I think they did a test screening of this movie, and I'll bet the audience was like, this is the true villain of the film. And I think Costner was like, we need to do one scene here where she and Whitney are getting along and really like each other, because this is the true villain of this film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, it's
because otherwise, why is that scene there?
Yeah, well, she's just singing, and then, of course, Rachel comes out and starts singing with her, and it's like harmonizing with her. It's very pretty.
Yeah, and she hugs her. It's the only scene of its kind in the film, and I'll bet that was a late shoot. They're like, we got to give this character some sympathy, because there's not, otherwise
the audience is onto her.
Like, they already hate her guts. Like, let's have one scene where she sings a cappella with Whitney. We'll get Whitney in there for a day. Fine.
Yeah. So then they notice that Fletcher is not around, and he has taken the little boat. He can't swim, conveniently. And so Frank, like, just bolts to, he gets on the dock and starts running at a full pace, just jumps out into the water and, like, pulls Fletcher off the boat. I mean, it seems so crazy. And of course, Rachel's freaking out, like, he can't swim! Frank, you're so crazy! And then the boat just keeps going out into the middle of the lake and blows up. So I guess Frank...
And what I like, it immediately cuts to a montage of everybody furiously packing. It's like, yes, get out of this house. This is...
Yeah, but now that they realize the cars are dead, someone is clearly, like, messing with them.
Yeah.
And so Frank says, all right, we're just going to have to, like, batten down the hatches tonight. And I'm thinking, you can't, like, call a cab? I mean, no? Nothing? I don't know.
Of course not.
But then this is where...
have to stay with Dad at his cabin in the middle of nowhere in the woods. Okay, movie.
Yeah, and so he sees the sister. It's, like, late at night, and she's drinking. And this is where she makes her big confession that she has hired a hitman. The sister hired a hitman on Rachel.
It doesn't make a lick of sense. She couldn't do it herself. She hasn't thought about it all these years.
And she says, like, she has everything.
And it's established that she also has a drug problem. It's like, man, this movie's stacking all the chips against her.
Yeah.
And she's like, I didn't think anything would happen to Fletcher. Like, you didn't? Yeah, it's...
I didn't want anything to happen to the baby. She calls him a baby. He's like 12 years old.
It's so nutty. I admire this twist because it's so bold and dark and sick and weird, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. But man, it's like, God, if you didn't like this character before, well, then this is... I mean, seriously, this is the villain of the film. There are other bad guys that present themselves, and they're all kind of contrived. But this is clearly the mastermind of the movie. I mean, she hired in a drunken or inebriated rage, went to a bar and met a hitman.
And then Frank's like, "So can you call him off?" And she's like, "No, I mean, he's just gonna go until he gets the job done."
It's so goofy.
Like, you don't have a way to get a hold of this guy and just say, hey, never mind, you can just keep the money. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't you want to know why? And he's like, you already told me. She has everything. That's kind of a Lifetime movie. Like, she has everything. Time. It's kind of a Lifetime twist.
It's a good title for a Lifetime movie.
She has everything?
Yes. She has everything. ... ellipsis, and she must die. Alternate title to The Bodyguard.
So then, there's the guy, the hitman shows up.
Indeed, he does.
Yeah. The sister gets shot.
Immediately after her confession. Yeah. And I'm sure the audience was like, yeah.
She's like, oh, man. I'm the one who hired you.
Yeah.
And then there's a snow shootout with Frank.
That's right.
And he does like this, I don't know. He jumps
somersault out the window.
Yeah, somersault out the window, which is actually pretty cool.
Oh, that stuntman did some good work that day. That shot was in the trailer a lot. Yeah.
Oh, it was.
I don't think it's Costner.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we could always like frame by frame it, but I don't think that's...
So they have a snow shootout and get rid of the guy.
A snow shootout? You mean a shootout in the snow?
Yeah.
They weren't like having a snowball fight. They weren't like lobbing snowballs at each other.
They were just having a shootout in the snow at night. It was, I don't know.
He's got his samurai sword. He's chopping the snowballs as they come at him.
It's not Elf. Okay. So, I don't know. Does he kill the guy? I think
no, he doesn't because the guy reappears in the third act.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We learn who it is.
So, the creepy guy, though, gets caught. Creepy albino guy.
No! Not my locker,
no!
Yeah.
But I wrote that the contract killer is still out there.
Yes,
oh, yeah, that's right.
Still large, yes.
So, all right. Now we have our scene at the Oscars, and Rachel's just like, you guys are so dour. Like, I'm sick of thinking about this. Like, I'm just going to enjoy this night. I'm like, dude, you probably have PTSD from your sister trying to kill you.
You are a walking target.
Yeah. And this guy is still out there.
Yeah.
It's so nuts that she would even go there.
Yeah, really the most shocking thing about this Oscar ceremony is that other than Robert Wool and Debbie Reynolds, there were no celebrities in this scene.
No, yeah, they're all made up famous people.
It's so crazy. Like, dude, it's Costner in Houston. They couldn't get any celebrities in this scene.
It's like Mark Edwards, and you're like, well, who's that?
Who the freak
nobody.
Yeah, it's all these extras. Like, no, you couldn't get nobody. Like, it's crazy. The Oscar scene in Naked Gun 33 1/3 is full of celebrities. Like, at least they got Weird Al Yankovic and Vanna White for that. There's no famous people in this scene. It's so nuts. It's like, this was a big movie.
Yeah, and then the guy who's like the host, it's just all these corny jokes.
Yeah, it's Robert Wool, who,
they didn't even get like real Oscar speechwriters.
Oh no!
For this.
Although the Oscar speeches that like she has to give on stage at one point, it's painfully corny. It's like, all right, that checks out. At least that's accurate. The Oscars are always kind of insufferable. And you know, a detail I really love. At one point, this is true. Houston is backstage, and she makes some comment about like whoever's on stage singing her song. That's exactly what happened. I think Patti LaBelle was brought out to sing the 2 Oscar-nominated songs from The Bodyguard the year it was nominated, because it lost to Aladdin, of course. But like, yeah, they didn't even have Houston on stage to do it. It was just like a quick medley. I think I Have Nothing and Run to You were both up for the Oscars, I think, because those are the 2 original songs from The Bodyguard. But yeah, they didn't even have Houston. So like, that was a part of the movie. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. They had someone other than Whitney Houston on stage and not doing the greatest job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I mean, the person singing her song was fine, but not Whitney, you know?
Yeah, the Oscar scene in this movie, I mean, this is fun. I mean, this was a time where the Oscars were a much bigger deal. Billy Crystal was hosting every year. So, like, people watched the Oscars like it was the Super Bowl. I certainly did. It's not that way anymore. No. I mean, this movie established this is a world where Entertainment Tonight is constantly giving us exposition. John Tesh is constantly giving us narration. And Robin Leach, at one point they referenced like Robin Leach came to the house, and like Frank wouldn't let him in. It's like, who cares? But this is 1992. It was a big deal if Robin Leach wanted to, film your house.
Yeah. So we have a lot of, Frank trying to like, talk to the other bodyguard, and they got their earpieces, and they eventually they have to get rid of them because the Oscar people are like, you're interfering with our earpieces. So it's like a sound battle or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then anyways, we see Portman. Yeah, he shows up, and he's like, yeah, got a gig tonight. I'm here, and money's really good, because they kind of like joke about that. And I don't know how it all kind of happens, but we find out that, Frank figures out that it's Portman who...
Well, the money shot, which I love so much, is he's looking at Portman across the way, and we see some guy come up to Portman like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Portman, holding a camera, kung fu chops him in the shoulder and knocks him over. It's like, oh, okay. That's how we know he's the bad guy. Okay, movie.
Yeah, because he's holding like a fake...
It's a fake camera, yeah, but it's actually a gun. It's got one of those little, I always call it the Terminator dot, the little red searcher dot. Yeah, and it's meant to look like a camera. He's really using it as a gun. He's going to point it at her and kill her because he's an unstoppable killing machine.
Yeah, and Frank somehow was like, I think he's going to kill her in front of everybody. I think that's what he's going to do. I'm like, how would he know that?
Well, he's a samurai. He knows.
He's a samurai.
Yeah.
All right, so Rachel gets called.
All that OJ.
Yeah, all that OJ.
Like
really.
Vitamin C. Where's the D?
It's C.
It is C, okay.
Yeah. So they call Rachel's name. She wins. She's walking up.
Of course, she beats all these other actresses that don't even exist. It's like, come on, you couldn't get like shots of like Shirley MacLaine. Like that would have been so
Meryl
much.
Streep.
Yeah, like oh no, Meryl Streep lost again to Rachel Marin. That would have been fun. But no, it's like Judy Streeperson. For a mop to remember. And they cut to Rachel Marin, Queen of the Night. Like, no clips. Like, why can't... They should have shot some fake footage for Queen of the Night.
Okay, but this is already, like, getting to be 2 hours.
But what is Queen of the Night? Is it a cop movie? Is she is she the head of a prostitution ring? Like, what is... I want to know what that movie is.
She's got the stuff that you want. She's got the thing that you need. She's got more than enough to make you drop to your knees.
Oh,
maybe it is a
That's a
prostitution movie.
dirty movie that's just won the Academy Award for Best Actress, Rachel Marin.
Maybe it's NC-17 and they couldn't show clips.
Yeah, maybe it's like, it's like this movie's premiering on a Showtime at 3 a.m.
Do you know, I mean, I used to like sing this song in my bedroom as a kid. Like, I didn't know.
Well, not my bedroom, but like when I'd be driving, bust that
I'm
CD
the
out.
queen of the night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as I'm driving to school. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who wasn't like rocking out to that?
But yeah, seriously, think about those lyrics. Think about what this movie, man, what a missed opportunity, Bodyguard. Like, that's the thing. Like, they should have either made her an actress or a singer. But the fact that they make her an Oscar-winning actress/singer, I mean, Diana Ross was Oscar nominated at the point where the movie was originally written. So that was that. She was an Oscar nominated actress for Lady Sings the Blues. I think they were thinking like, a Bette Midler or like a Barbara Streisand. But yeah, they had to sell that part of the movie. If they ever remake this film, and of course they will, they got to establish. I want that Queen of the Night footage. That's what I want.
All right.
Yeah. Missed opportunity, Bodyguard.
I'm going to be thinking about that for a
Oh,
while.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So she's walking up to accept her award. And then, Portman is like, got that red dot just like right on her face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
And then,
Costner does the slow-mo run to...
Yeah, he's running. He pushes her down. He gets shot. He's lying on the ground.
But it's so badass. He takes out his gun and he kills him.
Oh, yeah, he kills Portman.
It's great. Just empties his gun into him across, like, who knows how far away he is from... Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah. And I think Rachel's like, it's not my blood. It's not my blood. And then she realizes he said he would die for me. And he did. He almost did.
And then there's a moment I adore so much. I love that it's in the movie. And it just says so much about what this movie is. That it's not fun. That it's like not the romantic romp that you want it to be. Gary Kemp, Mr. Spandau Ballet himself, he enters the scene after all the bloodshed has happened. He's on the stage and he sees the card that says Rachel Marin, Best Actress.
Oh, yeah, with all the blood spatter.
He picks it up, wipes it off, and proudly puts it in his pocket. Like, oh man, that is so honest and real. That says so much about that character and about Hollywood. Like, oh man, that's a great moment.
Yeah, like this was like a total disaster and a tragedy, but she still won.
Yeah, it's like exactly. You still got it, Rachel. You still got the Oscar.
You almost died.
You're gonna be huger than ever before. Robin Leach is gonna come back to the house. There's gonna be Queen of the Night Part 2. He's framing that bloody card the second he gets home.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Okay, so...
And Costner's like, that moment is staying in the movie. It's staying in there because it's honest. It's gritty. It's the Bodyguard.
Okay, so what? We're at the airport now?
We're at the Casablanca ending that you hate so much, yes.
I have so many problems with this ending, you guys.
So let's hear it.
All right.
What are the problems?
Well, okay, he has his, arm in a sling, and I don't know, he's saying goodbye to everybody. And she's getting on a plane with her son and entourage or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just like saying goodbye to her. And she gets on, they just kind of like, okay, hug or whatever. And then, so the plane starts going and she's like, stop. And she runs off the plane just as like, I will always love you is like soaring. And then they have
her version, not Little Joe and the Bayonets.
Okay, yes, her version. Oh my
God. The version you love.
And they have their like movie magic kiss, and then
it's great. The camera surrounds them. They're kissing.
Okay, I'm not saying that. That's fine. That's fine. And then
smooching on the tarmac.
Yeah, smooching on the tarmac. Great. And then the end is like some I don't know, god awful dinner at like some conference center.
I think he might be a member of the Vatican. He's got a cross. Remember?
That okay.
And Frank's watching him, so assuming
okay, but he is a bodyguard for somebody else.
Yes.
Some old man.
Yeah, who has a big giant cross.
Right. And the camera just like freezes on his sad, depressed face.
Yes, because that's the bodyguard.
Ugh. No, I wrote, why can't they be together? All right, listen, he doesn't need the money. She is in love with him. He's in love with her. They have chemistry. What, he's just gonna like grow to be an old lonely person for the rest of his life? He could have a wife. They could have more kids. Like what? Why? This is just sad.
No, no. This, for one thing, this script was written in the 70s. It's a 70s kind of film. It's,
Okay, but it was made in the 90s.
It was made in the 90s, but clearly everyone involved is like, don't touch it. It's brilliant. And this family dynamic is tainted because, for one thing, the sister is dead. And it turns out the sister is the cause of this whole problem. There's so much tragedy and sadness attached to this. I'm sure it's agonizing for Frank and Rachel to have to see each other every day. Not to mention the fact that he almost died in her arms at the Oscars. So yeah, no, I don't. I think their relationship is too. There's just too much trauma involved. I'm sure in a way it's probably a relief for the two of them to let go of each other because look how much they lost when they were together.
No. If Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves can get together at the end of Speed,
but they don't.
All of that
at
trauma,
the end of Speed 2, she's at the beginning of Speed 2, she's got Jason Patric. She traded him in because he gave her. She thought it was perfume. Turns out it was pepper spray. She sprayed herself in the eye, and she dumped him for Jason Patric. And then they go on that cruise ship together.
Okay, I'm pretending like that movie doesn't exist,
but it does. It's part of the Speedverse. You have to acknowledge it.
No,
it's canon.
They went through a very traumatic experience, and
extreme circumstances don't always.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever that quote is.
Whatever that line is, yeah. I don't really remember the dialogue of Speed. But...
Okay. This is sad, all right? Frank is a sad, lonely person. It's a
sad movie. It's supposed to be sad. It's a bummer of an ending. It is. That's why it's good. Because it would be a movie giving us what we want. This movie is not giving us what we want. It really isn't.
But she's got the stuff that we want. She's got the thing that we need.
That's her character in Queen of the Night, the Oscar-winning film that she's in.
I know that.
I know that too. I'm just messing around. No, interesting. I was telling you last night a lot of interesting things about this movie. One of which, there was going to be a sequel. They wrote a script. And it was going to be, Costner went after her. He really wanted Princess Di to do it. And unfortunately, she died before they got that far. But that was his vision for The Bodyguard too. And I wonder what that would have been like if Princess Di was going to play herself or she was going to play like an extension of herself. But apparently they were friends, Costner and Lady Di. And he really wanted her to do it. When she passed away, that project just went up in smoke and they never made a sequel to The Bodyguard. There is, however, Bodyguard the musical. And this is fascinating to me because
with all the songs?
Yes, all the songs. It was basically a Whitney Houston musical. Like, check this out. So this was Act 1, Queen of the Night, I'm Your Baby Tonight, Saving All My Love for You, So Emotional, Run to You, How Will I Know, I Will Always Love You, and I Have Nothing. Act 2, All the Man That I Need, I'm Every Woman, Jesus Loves Me, One Moment in Time, and then ends with I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Wow.
So clearly it was like a Whitney Houston fueled musical. And by the way,
I actually would have loved that.
The reviews were really good. Oh. It never came to America. It only played at the West End in London. But apparently the critics really dug it. And they're like, if this is how you do this is how, they're like, it was better than the movie. It was more fun than the movie. Because let's face it, most things are more fun than this movie, which is, it's a drag. This movie is a drag. I admire that aspect of it. But as I keep telling you, I think the filmmakers, the filmmakers didn't know what they had. Because, the thing about Saturday Night Fever is just an example. Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta, that movie is really downbeat. At times it's extremely dark. But there's these long scenes where John Travolta is just killing it on the dance floor. They play these Bee Gees songs in their entirety. The movie knew what it had, and the filmmakers are not going like, oh, we got to cut all this dancing crap. They really just want to see the scenes where his mom is like slapping him on the head. No, like they knew what they had. This movie, they did not know what they had. Whitney Houston maybe sings 13 seconds of every song. It's crazy. This movie is already long. They could have lost all the scenes where Frank is talking to his Secret Service cronies and just let Whitney Houston sing these entire songs because clearly the soundtrack was amazing. they had to have known. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, there are no entire songs in this movie. In this soundtrack, it's the biggest of all time. And they really thought we wanted more of like the angsty sister, and although I wanted a lot more of Gary Kemp. It's Queen of the Night. You're gonna win the Oscar. I just know it. But yeah, like they did not know what they had with this movie. If you have Whitney Houston, let her sing an entire song. I don't love The Preacher's Wife, but that movie knew it had Whitney Houston. I mean, she sings entire songs, and Anyway, I look at this film and it's like, man, like they probably thought this thing was going to make 50, 60 million and then tap out. Like they didn't know that this thing was going to be a gigantic phenomenon.
Yeah, typical. Well, okay, so how many stars did you give this?
I like this film, 3 stars.
Okay.
It's dark and somber. It has 2 leads who have fantastic chemistry. It's very entertaining, even though it wants to be a dark 70s character film. And it has lots of campy aspects that kind of counter that. But it's it's a movie about 2 people who can't be together. I know you're fighting me about this ending, but I like the tragic love story. But I gotta say, like, the ending of Titanic is more upbeat than this movie, because at least they're together in the afterlife, right? You see Jack on top of the stairs.
That's true.
Yeah, this movie, like, no, they cannot be together. It's the Casablanca tragic ending at the airport.
Which I also did not enjoy
There
either.
you go. So good double feature, Casablanca and The Bodyguard.
If you want to be depressed forever.
I like this film. I like Costner. I really like what he's doing here. And, Houston, Waiting to Exhale, Preacher's Wife, Sparkle. I do think this was her best film, her best performance. I really like what she did here. She was one of the greatest singers who ever lived, hands down, in my lifetime. And I do miss her, as I know you do too. I love her in this movie. I really do. The soundtrack definitely brings me back. You can make an argument the soundtrack is stronger than the movie. I think that's a pretty easy case to make. But I do like this movie a lot. I know a lot of people didn't. The critics hated this film when it came out, but audiences stuck with it and saw it over and over again. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I know a lot of people wouldn't defend it as much as I do, but I dig it because it's weirdly, it's a studio movie and it's a commercial film and it opened on Thanksgiving, but it's an uncompromised movie.
So you wouldn't change anything?
No, it's a tough... Well, I mean, I want those Queen of the Night scenes, obviously.
Okay, but you wouldn't change the ending.
No, I definitely would not change the ending.
Okay, so
No.
you would get rid of Secret Service cronies, add Queen of the Night scenes, and then you think it would be perfect.
Just more scenes of Gary Kemp basically just like stalking around, Whitney Houston, the whole movie. We need more disco lights. Queen of the Night 3, we'll make it a trilogy. You're going to win another Oscar. Meryl Streep doesn't have nothing on you.
I don't know. I feel like if I had somebody in my life yelling at me like that, I don't know. Is that motivating or is that...
But you know what? You have a younger sister. How would you deal with a younger sister who's always in the shadows in the background? Would you suspect her of hiring an assassin to get rid of you for all your success?
Well, no. I mean, she was always the more popular one, so I would not ever suspect that, but okay.
So it would have been you then.
No, I
You
would
have been
never hire a hitman. That's so insane.
Oh my God, like, I'm so irritated. I'm just gonna hire a hitman.
Yeah, you know what?
Oh my God, I lost his number. I can't even cancel this anymore.
Exactly. Note to self. If you do decide to do it and then you change your mind, make sure you can get in touch with that person.
There should be like a down payment for like the kill button, for like that phone call.
Right.
Yeah, you got to think ahead of these things.
Exactly. You know, because you're probably hiring this person under duress and not in your right mind. So when you come out of your drunken stupor, you need a way to cancel the call. That's just common sense. All right. Well, I think that covers.
How many stars do you like this movie or no?
No, I do like this movie.
How many stars would you give it?
I did forget about the sister, and you know what? Honestly,
Forgot about Psycho Sister?
Yeah, I think the first time I saw it, I don't even think it registered that she had hired a hitman because it's such a crazy scene.
That's the thing I always remember about it. Whenever the sister appears, like, oh, there she is.
Yeah, like I don't think it clicked for me the first time that she's the reason that Portman is there. Yeah.
Yeah, that he's sleazing around.
Yeah. Oh, this was my question.
Yeah.
Does Portman know, like, when he goes to that Miami party, and like almost, rapes Rachel.
Yeah.
Has he hired at that point?
I think so.
Really?
I think so.
You think he's like checking things out?
I think he's there because he's assessing the situation. He says that he's on the job, or he says that, or he makes some comment about like he's not on the job, or basically, I feel like there's a real double meaning there. He's like he's assessing.
Well, he's with like a senator who's like with somebody, like having a romp or whatever, and so then I don't know like exactly Is that where does the sister like meet him at the bar, in Miami? Like, is that where that transaction takes place? Because like, how else would she meet this same guy?
Maybe because she was following Rachel and Frank after they saw Yojimbo, and he followed her to this honky tonk bar. And while Little Joe and the Bayonets are singing.
You think it happened at that bar?
Yes, I do. I think she was like in the next booth.
Oh, that's so
She's
creepy.
Like, you see them? I hate them.
They have everything.
I could like, for a price, I could like, ixnay on the Rachel A. Can you do that for me? Oh my God.
Ray. Oh my God.
Hey, this music's pretty good. Like, I don't want anybody else to sing this song because this is Dolly Parton got nothing. I mean, this is good music right here.
Oh my gosh. All right, I think we're getting a little delirious.
So how many stars would you give The Bodyguard?
Yeah, no, I give it like 3.5.
3.5? Really? I thought you didn't like this movie.
No, I like it. I just think the ending is terrible.
Terrible. Okay, so
I just think they deserve to be together.
They do.
They deserve happiness.
They do deserve to be happy, and that's why it's tragic because they can't be together. But they do deserve to be together.
With the can't. No, two people can make a way. They can find a way. If they really want to be together, they can make it work. It's not like these people, I don't know, are tied down by like weird circumstances. No, they could be together if they wanted to be.
That is the kind of idealism that works for the ending of Queen of the Night, but not The Bodyguard.
Well, I thought she had the stuff.
I think you drop to your knees.
Oh my gosh. All right. On that note, everybody, I think that concludes our discussion of The Bodyguard.
Yes, that was fun. No, I hope you all enjoy revisiting the film as much as we did.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.